Welcome, age of vintage society. For more than 4 decades, whether working in comedy or tragedy, actor Jack Lemmon epitomised the joys and travails of Americans in the latter half of the 20th century. How did Jack Lemmon steal the fame from Frank Sinatra? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Jack Lemmon, America's everyman. There are movie stars we love because they, unlike us mortals, never break a sweat. And then there are the stars we love because they do our sweating for us. Jack Lemmon, one of the finest, funniest and most popular movie actors of the second half of the last century, was the uncoolest of icons. He squirmed for our sins. A middle-class everyman forever tugging at his collar, his shoulders hunched in anticipation of a bashing from above, his ingratiating smile more nervous query than expression of pleasure. Lemmon was the personification of the beleaguered, white-collar American male, compromised but lovable. Noted as one of the most versatile US film actors of his generation, Lemmon gave numerous memorable performances in theatre, film and television, greatly influencing a later generation of actors. Actor Jack Lemmon was born in the Boston suburbs of Newton, Massachusetts on February 8, 1925. Legend has it that he was actually born in the hospital elevator. The son of a successful businessman, Lemmon grew up under the expectation that he would follow his father into the bakery business. During his acceptance of his Lifetime Achievement Award, he stated that he knew he wanted to be an actor from the age of 8. He began to act in school productions. Except for drama and music, however, he was an unexceptional student. He was educated at Andover Academy, and by the time he graduated from Harvard University, he was thoroughly bitten by the acting bug, having acted in Summer Stock and in some of Harvard's Hasty Pudding productions. In a 1990 interview in The Independent, Mark Stein quoted Lemmon's account of how he broke the news of his aspiration to be an actor to his father after graduating from Harvard University in 1947. "Pop, can you lend me $300 so I can go to New York and see if I can get in the theatre?" He said, "Ugh, acting? Do you really love it?" I said I did, and he said, "Okay, good, because when the day comes that I don't find romance in a loaf of bread, I'll quit." Boy, that came in handy during the terrible dry periods. Then I remembered, well, I do love it, like he loved what he did. He was also a member of the V-12 Navy College Training Program, and Lemmon was commissioned by the United States Navy, serving briefly as an ensign on an aircraft carrier during World War II, before returning to Harvard after completing his military service. After graduation with a degree in War Service Sciences in 1947, he studied acting under Coach Uta Hagen at HB Studio in New York City. He was a pianist who became devoted to the instrument aged 14 and learned to play by ear. For about a year in New York City, he worked unpaid as a waiter and master of ceremonies at the Old Nick Bar on 2nd Avenue. He also played the piano at the venue, as an accompanist to the silent films of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. He also performed in skits there and tended bar, among other tasks. During his early years in the business, he continued doing summer stock. Lemmon became a professional actor working on radio and Broadway. His film debut was a bit part as a plasterer in the film The Lady Takes a Sailor, but he was already appearing in television shows, which numbered about 400 from 1948 to 1953. Lemmon believed his stage career was about to take off when he was appearing on Broadway for the first time in a 1953 revival of the comedy Room Service, but the production closed after 2 weeks. Despite this setback, he was spotted by talent scout Max Arnow, who was then working for Columbia, and Lemmon's focus shifted to films and Hollywood. Columbia's head, Harry Cohn, wanted to change Lemmon's name in case it was used to describe the quality of the actor's films, but he successfully resisted. In late 1949, Lemmon appeared in a television series, That Wonderful Guy, along with Cynthia Stone, whom he later married. Lemmon's Broadway debut was not so fortunate this time around. Room service closed after 18 performances, leaving Lemmon undaunted by the show's generally poor reviews. For one thing, he received valuable experience and exposure. For another, Hollywood literally beckoned him. He signed a 7-year non-exclusive contract with Columbia Pictures that required him to do 2 films a year, with a studio option for a third. Unfortunately, as his career moved forward, his marriage with Stone steadily declined. Lemmon's first film for Columbia was It Should Happen to You, which starred Academy Award winner Judy Holliday and was directed by George Cukor. In it, Lemmon plays a struggling documentary filmmaker. The film was successful and Lemmon caught the attention of the critics. In his second film, Ft, he was again paired with Holliday. By this time he had reconciled with Stone, and the couple now relocated to California. In 1954 their son Christopher was born. Lemmon next had a small role in My Sister Eileen, but it was his 4th film that marked his entrance into the Hollywood pantheon. In 1955 Jack Lemmon gained fame, playing Ensign Pulver in war drama Mr. Roberts. He was acting alongside Henry Fonda and James Cagney. He later served in much more comedy and drama. He proved that he is an intense actor with a dramatic performance in The Days of Wine and Roses in 1962. After that he was sometimes referred to as America's Everyman. In 1959 Jack Lemmon gave one of the top comedic performances of his career when he starred alongside Tony Curtis in the romantic comedy film Some Like It Hot, the first of several collaborations with director Billy Wilder. In the romantic zany comedy Some Like It Hot, released in 1959, he was cast opposite Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis. The film earned $7.2 million in the first year of its release and clocked $25 million at the domestic box office. Some Like It Hot almost boasted Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra. With the plot locked down, attention turned to casting. Names thrown around for the roles of Joe, Josephine and Jerry Daphne included Danny Kaye and Bob Hope. But Wilder quickly moved to Tony Curtis for Joe, and his choice for Jerry was Frank Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes didn't make it into Some Like It Hot, obviously. The reason why, though, depends on whose story you believe. Curtis said Wilder wanted Sinatra for Jerry Daphne, but he wasn't sure Frank would be able to play it. Frank was a little bit cantankerous, and Billy didn't want to take a chance on that. Wilder was a bit surly himself, which makes Diamond's version of events seem more likely. Billy made a lunch date with Sinatra, and he went and waited and sat there, and Sinatra never showed up. He stood Billy up. Wilder, who became a director to control the fates of his scripts, likely wouldn't have reacted kindly to such an affront to his authority. Sinatra was out, and Jack Lemmon was in. Jack Lemmon arrived at his female persona kind of by accident. Dressed like women, Curtis and Lemmon now needed to establish what kind of women they would be, and it was Lemmon who established the types. Curtis hemmed and hawed about leaving his dressing room first, so Lemmon took the plunge, and he was like a 20-cent tart, Curtis said. Lemmon skipped around, talked in a high-pitched voice, and was generally bubbly and ditzy. Curtis knew the film couldn't handle 2 characters like that, so he took the opposite approach. I had to be a lady, very grand, like my mother or Grace Kelly. I held my head up, straight and high, and never went for those low-down jokes. The last piece of the characters was their makeup. Curtis and Lemmon spent hours refining their looks. Once they thought they had it, Wilder all but pushed them into the ladies' bathroom. He needed to see if it could play. So, Traipsing into the ladies we went, and boy oh boy, the flop sweat was really flying, Lemmon remembered. I was scared to death. I've never been so embarrassed. But it worked. No one gave them a second look. They rushed out, told Wilder, and he said, "Don't change a thing." But Curtis wasn't convinced. He thought no one looked at them because they made for ugly women. So they went back into makeup, were made a little more glamorous, and went back to the bathroom. They were ID'd immediately, so they reset to the first look. From nearly every angle, Some Like It Hot is a weird, subversive picture. Two hard-luck jazz musicians, Curtis and Lemmon, who witnessed the St. Valentine's Day massacre, go into hiding as women in an all-female orchestra and must navigate love and attraction. One lusts after the band's sultry singer, played by Monroe, while the other is pursued by a wily old millionaire, all while dodging the mob. The film cuts against the cultural grain so sharply that it's a miracle it got made at all, but that might be why it connected so forcefully with audiences and remains an unassailable American classic. Jack Lemmon married Cynthia Stone in 1950. Their first child, Chris, was born in 1954. They were divorced in 1956. He then married Felicia Farr in 1962, and daughter Courtney was born 1966. He also has a stepdaughter named Denise. In 1998 he admitted to being an alcoholic since 1976 and gave up alcohol in the early 1980s. He also cut back on cigarettes, switching to cigars and pipe smoking. He was also a hobby golfer. In the annual Bing Crosby National Golf Competition, Lemmon's fans would root him on in his quest to pass to round 4. He never achieved this goal. In 2001, Jack Lemmon passed away of metastatic bladder cancer, which he had been fighting for 2 years. He was buried near Walter Matthau, who died a year before, in Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Westwood, California. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about Jack Lemmon's life and legacy? He was very lovable and professional. America's everyman.